welcome back to Corky Gachas, and in this video we're going to take a look at the new unit Jiho and see whether she is truly worth your Everstones. Let's dive right in. So as you can see, we are currently on the official Eversoul website, and here this is the release announcement, right, whereby they say that Jiho is going to be available from January 19th through the pickup banner, and also there is a skill information for the Jiho skill set, but we are not going to rely on this because they have no numbers, right? So how can we make our analysis based on zero numbers? What we can do is to go straight to our favorite Pridwin website. So yeah, we are back at Pridwin website again, and here you can see that this is Jiho's entry. She's a human supporter unit, and of course these are other information about Jiho, right? So if you really like this Jiho character, you can go take a look at all this information, but that's not what we are concerned with today. What we are concerned with is her skill set to see whether she is indeed useful. But one disclaimer is that the values for Jiho skills might change, so Pridwin website did mention this, but most times I think the numbers so far have been accurate, so we'll take it. Anyways, we don't have other numbers to take, right? We have to look at these numbers and then we have to reference it in the game itself when it releases, whether it really reflects the same thing. So first things first, we take a look at her passive skill, and the passive skill, basically what it means is that Jiho's normal attack will reduce enemy speed by 5% for 8 seconds for 5 stacks, meaning 25% at level 1 for 8 seconds, and at max 35% speed debuff on the unit that she hit for 8 seconds. But we can look at this way, right? Jiho, or rather the unit, is going to relatively consistently hit on one target most of the time, right? Until the unit dies, right? The unit then is, Jiho is going to switch target. So most of the time, this is going to be one unit that's going to be affected by the speed debuff. So from that perspective, although 35% is pretty decent, right? But it's kind of ramps up slowly, and also, I think being a single target, I don't feel that this passive is that good. Next, we'll take a look at her sub-skill, Frigid Winter. So what this skill do is that it will hit an enemy, and then when it hits the enemy, it's going to apply a speed debuff to an AoE effect near the enemy, right, in a cone shape. And for 4 meters, I don't think it's that big, so it's a small AoE in a cone shape, and at max, it's going to deal 280% attack damage, right? Because 70% per 2 seconds, every 2 seconds, times 4, it's 280%, and also the speed debuff is minus 20%. So it's most of the time it's going to hit the tank and the units near the tank, which means it's not going to be that relevant. I feel that a speed debuff on a tank unit is not as relevant as on a DPS unit, whereby the main skill of the DPS is going to be much more significant, and that's why I think that this skill itself really depends on who you hit. If you really want to make it work to the max, what I can imagine is that to have the Asian pull the unit into the front row so that the AoE can hit more targets. That's how I imagine it to be the most effective. But as of a normal use without Asian, I think it's quite meh. And next one, we have Song of Eternity. Song of Eternity plays music and wishes for longevity, so removes 2 debuffs effect, right? Here writes 1 debuff, but at max upgrade is 2 debuffs and 60% heal over time. And every 2 seconds for 6 seconds, meaning it would heal for 180% attack and also remove 2 debuffs. What we can compare it to is a Catherine. Catherine does, the sub effect does a invincibility effect as well as a 100% attack heal. So this is equivalent to a 1.8 times of Catherine heal, and judging from Catherine's heal that I've seen in game, it's not that significant. 1.8 times of that is decent but not the best, and this remove debuff effect seems to have been covered by a lot of units, right? So if you have Talia, it's already Talia's main skill already does that, so I'm not sure how relevant this is going to be, and the heal itself is quite meh. Next, we have to take a look at the main skill itself, Vulture Peak Assembly. What this does is that it increases speed by 40% for 15 seconds, recovers the HP of one ally, lowers HP by 380% attack, and then cannot recover HP, then you will cast a barrier that absorbs 220% damage for 15 seconds. What this means is that not only does it increase the speed of the target that is of the lowest health that she heals, if the target cannot be healed due to some debuff, right, that blocks heal, she is also able to create a shield. So most people would think that this skill itself is pretty meh because Prim's skill does an AoE heal, which is 330% attack at base. So the Prim's skill does AoE while she only heals one target. But what I want to say is that I feel that this is her main highlight skill. Given that it increases speed by 40%, the target itself, right, is going to have a lot of opportunity to use sub skills. However, for reference sake, we are going to reference a skill to VV skill. VV skill does 20%, so it's 50% versus 20% increase, speed increase, and VV does it for 10 seconds, she does it for 15 seconds. So it's 2 times the impact of VV for 1.5 times the duration. It's quite significant. Do not underestimate it. I feel that this works the best if she's the only healer and she's compensated, or the tank is the tank that you choose is complementary of this kit set, and then someone like Chloe might be the best because Chloe is able to drop low, get the physical magic resist, then she's able to get healed up by Jiho, and that is going to work out really perfectly. If you have someone like Clara that dashes into the opponent's lineup, maybe not as good because Clara might not be able to survive the initial burst. So yeah, this is really something that I see as the main highlight point of Jiho as a burst healer, single target healer. And you can run something like a range formation whereby you have all the units at the back and then one unit in front, which is the tank, and that's why it's going to draw all the focus fire, and from then on you are able to heal it with the Jiho. And next, we have the ultimate skill of Jiho. A lot of people claim that Jiho's ultimate skill is a highlight because at max upgrade, what it does is that recovers HP of all the allies by 310%, which is once again like a prim heal, right? And then also, what this does is that increases speed of all the allies by 30% for 10 seconds. So it's slightly more significant than VV, and also has an effect that silences all enemies for 10 seconds. So most people see this and they'll go, freaking OP. This is freaking OP skill, right? Because it heals all the allies, speed up. I mean, we know what we love VV for. It's for her speed up. And also silences all the enemies for 10 seconds. And everyone will just go bonkers and say that this is super OP. But to be honest, I feel like this is a very lackluster ultimate because it is an ultimate. So that is the detriment of having the most of your kit centered around the ultimate itself. Meanwhile, Vivi has a sub skill that she can use multiple times one battle, right? Most times you only want to use ultimate one time, and even then I don't feel like I want to use an ultimate that does a jack of all trades instead of something that is a master in that aspect that they are going for. So if we have Vivi does a ton of damage with her ultimate, and then you can think of it as the Catherine compared to Catherine. Right? Catherine's effect is that it will heal and then add a shield, and on top of it increase physical and magical resist. So it makes your unit super tanky. So it goes super extreme into the healing tanking aspect, and Vivi goes into the super damaging aspect. But this is in the middle of both grounds, and I'm not sure whether this is going to be useful because of that. I don't think that it's going to be useful all the time, and hence I feel like it's going to be a bit lackluster compared to other ultimates such as Catherine's. Last but not least, we have to take a look at her artifact as well. So Jiho's artifact is I don't know how to pronounce this name, but whatever that is, adds an effect to Song of Eternity, which is the one that heals and removes debuffs, right? So it gives crit rate by 5% for 14 seconds, and at max it gives 25% crit rate. So this can be redemption for Jiho, but even then I feel that, or as good as this is, right, Memphi already does this, but maybe if you don't have Memphi, this can replace Memphi. And if you have Memphi but you want to have more defensive powers, right, then maybe Jiho can be a good pairing with Catherine. Now with all that said, I'm sure in your mind you know whether I think Jiho is worth summoning, and that is a resounding yes, because she plays a freaking flute. Now tell me, Catherine is a better healer, you might say, but does she play a flute? No. Prim is a burst healer. Does she play a flute? No. And also Clara, does she play a flute? No, she doesn't play a flute. So that's why you have to draw for Jiho, because she's a flute waifu. Okay, jokes aside, I don't think Jiho is that worth pulling for, because compared to other healers or other units that are already meta, right, like the Talia, so you want to include Talia because she gives mana, and also she provides the debuff cleansing already. So duplicate with Jiho, and then you want Catherine because of her invincibility, and she already has a very strong ultimate that provides you with a lot of heal. So duplicate with Jiho again. So unless you don't have all these units, right, I wouldn't suggest you to pull Jiho. That's just my personal take based on what I see right now. In the game it might be different, after people play with it, it might be different, but my take is that it shouldn't be too different from what happens in game, right? If you have Catherine at Legend Plus, I don't feel like there's a need for you to pull Jiho at all. And that about does it for my review of the new unit Jiho. I hope that my analysis have provided you some insight on whether it's a good decision for you yourself to pull Jiho. Now with the patch, not only does it bring us Jiho, there are also massive changes, balance changes that's going to come to the game, so definitely check out this video over here where I run through all the changes and how it's going to massively impact you. I'll see you guys over there. This is Corky Gachas signing off.